Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and today we have most definitely, the stupidest story I've ever had to cover here on Fantasy News. But I'm going to save that for the end. First, let's go ahead and jump in the delicious pastry treats of Fantasy News I have for you up first. Starting with another one I don't like. And that is that we've gotten a look at a costume Ciri will be wearing in Season 2 of The Witcher. Why am I covering this? Because I think it's really weird that these shots are clearly taken from like a hyper zoomed in lens through bushes. Do we care that much? Do we care so much that some man is in the middle of the woods like 100 yards away with a super zoom in lens just shaking like, I'm gonna get this costume on this teenage girl. Why? Why do people care? Okay, someone posted it, so I'll cover it. That's the news. That's the first piece. I don't like it either. But moving into another official release from Witcher, and it's the final piece of Witcher news we'll be covering here today. Geralt! We got to look at him for Season 2 as well in an official, not weird release, and it's him wearing some armor, looking all strong. Cavill posted it to his Instagram, and it looks pretty good. And there's a nice little caption as well. You can check on out that, summarize the vibe he was going for in this costume, I guess. It's the passage about the White Wolf and how you should look behind you, and it's going to be there one day. Fans know it, I think.
We also got it confirmed, kind of accidentally through a leak, that Season 3 of The Witcher is at least being planned, if not absolutely green-lit. This is because on the Writers Guild of America's directories, we see Season 3 with the showrunner still attached. And they've been known to leak stuff like this before. It's not confirmed, it's not officially greenlit, but it's a very strong indicator. I'm not going to put it in like the title of the video or anything, because I know that would be clickbaity with rumors, and I try to avoid that. But general advice on the channel, if you do see something in the title with a question mark next to it, that's me saying it's a rumor. And there's some stuff where it's like, I just really know this is a big deal rumor, so I want to still put it in the title. This doesn't qualify as that, but that's why occasionally there's question marks in the title of Fantasy News. Moving on.
Let's move on from creep shot and costume news and get on into release news. And specifically, we're having a release from Tor of a debut novel called In the Watchful City. This kind of seems like it's going to be a fantastical take on 1984. Specifically, it's described as a lyrical, intimate novella set in a remote, fantastical city that uses a complex living network to watch over its inhabitants and visitors. I like that. That sounds enticing. And it being a debut novel, that's got me pumped, as well as just generally being excited for, more strange takes on stuff for fantasy. I'm always down for that. I'm not going to get into more details that were released in this post. I know some people can consider some of the inspiration spoilery. So if you'd like, check it out though. Of course, link down below. Just as everything I talked about today, go vote. That's unrelated. Next news. It's also been confirmed that Dune is officially delayed until October 1st. Of 2021. No, it's not already in theaters. Sorry about that, guys. I know that's disappointing to a lot of people, but they do not want to have what happened to Tenet with them. That's be a big bummer for a really, really anticipated movie. But it means we get another year of talking and speculating as fans, so that's appreciative. Not that I'm exactly a big Dune fan. Anyway, expect a few more of these cut-ins. It's what I get for recording Fantasy News earlier in the day. Have a good one. Dune news. So, okay. Someone a while ago in a Let's Debate video said that Juniper books were overpriced. And my response to that was like, Folio has expensive copies occasionally, and so does Juniper. It's more about the licensing agreement and what they decide the value of the art and everything is worth. And, well, they've decided this one's worth quite a bit of money for the limited run of Dune. By the way, it's already sold out. I'm sorry. But guess how much this was selling for? $300 for one book? $700 for this copy of Dune. Granted, it looks beautiful, and it being a limited run, I understand. But wow, that is a pretty pricey piece of paper right there. I am not blaming anyone who bought it. I'd probably spend the money on like a super special Wheel of Time. But that one book is more expensive than this entire Wheel of Time set I got. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Some IPs are going to be these kind of super price range, and others will not. I'm impressed, I'm intrigued, and I can't get one because they're sold out before I could even try, and I probably wouldn't have spent that much money on this. But out of a borderline like capitalism debate that I don't actually want to get into, let's go ahead and talk about Emilia Clarke, who recently sat down for an interview and got into even more details about what it was like having brain surgery than going in to act in the Game of Thrones TV show. It's kind of just amazing to watch how hard this woman was working while also dealing with a you could die at any moment and are in pain all the time condition. It's impressive, and yeah, there was a lot of stuff that apparently people didn't know while was filming. I recommend this interview. It's a worthwhile read, and okay, I have to sound redundant here. Links right down below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. I have no soul.
We also got a first look at the Netflix show Blood of Zeus in a trailer that was released on YouTube. The show will come out October 27th and seems to be trying to capture the anime crowd, pulling on Greek mythology to tell an epic adventure. Tell an epic adventure, not tale an epic adventure.
We have 4 pieces of adaptation news that are coming down the road, broken up into two. The first is going to be 2 film adaptations. One of the comic series Black, which I actually haven't read or heard of, but some people seem pretty pumped about this. And the next is going to be a film adaptation of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which LaRue. The next is going to be a film adaptation of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab, and I know a lot of people are going to be looking forward to that one. It says the adaptation's coming over at E1. No clue what that is. Now for the TV shows, Netflix has apparently splurged and grabbed on up the Conan franchise for a series for their streaming service. Okay, nothing against the Conan books. Just don't see that working out right now. I don't know why, I just don't have a good vibe for the future of this one. But next up, we have the studio Heyday adapting Priest of Bones for television. It looks like this will be a series as well. And I'm not aware of Priest of Bones, but it's described as a fantasy crime novel. And now I want to read that. I like crime, I like fantasy. Actually, genuinely, please, if you have any recommendations for great crime fantasy, leave them down below, because that's a subgenre of fantasy I want to get into more. It does seem that this one specifically, though, will be a joint venture with NBC Universal, which, yeah, there's going to be the big boys attached to this kind of stuff. Moving on into a smidge of video game news, and the video game news we'll be getting into later is actually the stupidest I might have ever had to cover, but this one's not that yet. I actually respect this one, and that is that Blizzard says they're actually going to be delaying their gigantic drop that's coming soon for World of Warcraft due to customer feedback and them just not being satisfied with the product. I would imagine COVID played a bit in this as well. Like, yeah, there's going to be some echoes of that making people slow down, but it does seem they're also just not satisfied with the way fans are interacting or responding to this drop yet. So specifically involving the end game, they will be delaying it to improve things. Apparently some people in the comments are freaking out saying, oh, put it out now, but those are always just a vocal minority people who don't understand. Would you rather get something half-baked that's not done or a complete great product? Now, for an interesting new subsection of fantasy news, it's going to be called Fantasy News, Witches Edition. Can't do a witch's laugh, I'm sorry. We have 2 pieces of witches news. One is that Anne Hathaway and Octavia Spencer are going to be in Roald Dahl's The Witches, and a trailer is out now if you'd like to check that out. We're also getting a sequel to The Craft. Neat. And finally, we have Hocus Pocus making news for 2 reasons. One, we've had a lot of info drop about the sequel that's currently in the works, so if you're interested in a sequel to Hocus Pocus, read those details. It's up to you if you want to. I don't know what your priorities are. But the second reason Hocus Pocus is in the news is it almost passed Tenet in the box office this weekend. A lot of people, you know, Halloween, Hocus Pocus, drive-in theaters is doing that kind of stuff. It's a special event, you do that. Quick clarification, those numbers were due off Friday's speculation, and now looking back on it, no, Hocus Pocus did not manage to pull out the W over Tenet. Tenet had still 2.7 million, which is still drastically under what they need to be pulling in to break even on that budget, but that's not the point. Hocus Pocus was solidly in second, though, by a wide margin of nearly $1 million. So that is impressive for a 30-year-old movie. God damn. And good for Hocus Pocus. I actually watched Hocus Pocus for the first time a year ago or so, around last Halloween, and it was, you know, cute. I got it, I understood, and I enjoyed, but I think without the nostalgia, not exactly pumped for a sequel here. But now let's get into the final pieces of news here today, which is going to lead me into the stupidest story I've ever had to cover by a long shot. One, this is not it, it's just kind of related. Apparently Electro is going to be played by Jamie Foxx once again in an upcoming MCU Spider-Man movie. But the final thing, and the dumbest, big dummy, oh my god, piece of news. So, they are changing Spider-Man's face for the upcoming PS5 exclusive Spider-Man game, and I know your probable reaction to that is, okay, who cares? But they clearly shifted it to look more like Tom Holland, which is something that's been happening in comic books for ages. Comic book characters look more like their MCU adaptations all the time. That's just a general change they make because it probably sells better to be like, oh, that Doctor Strange looks like Benedict Cumberbatch. I know that. I'll buy that. Simple marketing. Some people have apparently started sending the game director death threats over this, and I have two reactions to this. One, everyone online gets death threats eventually if you have any kind of presence. Like, I've gotten death threats repeatedly. It's just something where it's like an inevitability. You stop really taking them seriously. They just hit you like a breeze and they just go away as soon as you stop reading it. You don't think about it. But the second thing I think is just like, f***ing really? Who is so upset by the face of a video game character? Not even because it looks bad. Like, it looks good. It looks fine. But because it's slightly different than the last game, and they were really attached to that, and they don't like that it looks like Tom Holland? What? Who? Just for the love of... Okay, I'm gonna try and understand. Nope, can't. That is the last piece of fantasy news we're gonna cover here today. Man, children are everywhere, and it's always fun to talk about it with my audience and see the responses in the comments down below. I'm sure the death threats the guy is facing are not very genuine or serious. As I said, everyone gets these all the time, especially YouTubers, and you're gonna have them happen. And it's one of the things you gotta deal with and learn to not take that seriously. Though my door is barricaded. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And join the Discord server if you'd like to post some fantasy news stories to see covered in the future. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.